Welcome back. I am Kimile, and you're listening to Heal with Kimile podcast. I recently had a post about how I discovered the technology that I use in my work. And I talked about manifesting and being at the source of a designed future, a created future that you can actually eliminate the patterns that you're stuck in your life and create a new future to live into. And I'll tell you a couple of stories about people that I've done that with and what's amazing about that. I think what's critical to know in the realm of sourcing a future is that you didn't create your past all by yourself. We're all infants, we're all dependents when we're born. And, we have to, crawl and eat baby food and kind of, we come in the world completely dependent, right? So because we're in a very vulnerable young state, we don't know how to process emotion or events that happen in our childhood. And I don't think everything that is traumatizing lingers and affects you forever if you have a support system. If you get scared or if something bad happens, if you fall off your bike and break your leg, you got Grammy, you got Grandpa, you got Mom, you got Dad, you got people that you can cry to and process through that with. And then you feel better. And it doesn't live like, I'm always going to break my leg. I'm always going to fall off my bike. It doesn't stick. But why do some events in our past stick and really have an impact on our future? Because of what we make up about it, because of what we believe. Because it was a high emotional time and we didn't understand it and we didn't have a lot of support in working through it. So we decided that this is how it goes for us. Example, your parents get divorced, your parents fight, there's a horrible relationship going on. It must be my fault. If I were a girl or if I were a boy or if I were this or if I were that, daddy or mommy wouldn't have left. It's something that I sourced and I made happen. One of the most primary examples, I think I've shared this before in a video, but I'll share it again because it was such a life-altering aha moment. And I almost just, heard that little girl's brain pop when she recognized this. But here's the story. I'm dealing with a 16-year-old. Her daddy's asked me to help her work through some of the issues with him and her because they're not close. She was daddy's girl. Loved her daddy. And they were really close until she's 7 years old. And then daddy went away. Daddy was a heroin addict. Daddy was going to go to prison or he's going to go to rehab or he was going to die. This is pretty bleak, the options for a heroin addict, right? So he was facing some criminal charges and the judge said, well, if he goes to rehab, okay. So she said to me when I first started working with her, and I knew that the subject matter we're going to deal with, we're going to process through was the stuff with her dad. And her life experience at that moment with men, I don't trust men, like my grandpas, but I don't call them for help. I don't count on them. I don't want a boyfriend. Like she wanted nothing to do in a way with men because they're just going to leave me anyway. There was a kind of a negative connotation. She had negative conversation about boys her age. And look, she's a teenage girl, so I can understand that. But I felt like there was something more going on than just boys are dumb at that age of 16. So I could see that she didn't have a lot of faith and trust in men because she'd had the same kind of sentiment with her grandparents, her grandpas. And then she says to me, well, my dad left me when I was 7. That is something she took very, very personal. Yet he was going to save his life. He literally had to go or he wouldn't have been here. He probably would have gone to jail for a little bit, got out and used again. He literally needed to go to rehab or he was going to die. So this is the reason he leaves, but she did not know. And they probably shielded her from some of the truth of that. And they didn't want to bash him to her. They're trying to be responsible people, family. But literally, she personalized that. He left me. They were besties. He was her favorite. And he adored her. So all of a sudden, now he's gone. Crushed her. Devastated her. And the family just didn't bring it up and talk about it because they didn't want to see her cry. They didn't want to make her cry. So they're in their mind, I think they're protecting her. But this little girl blamed herself, thinking that something she had done was wrong. And she's pretty guarded. She doesn't share emotionally, doesn't really talk a lot, doesn't trust people. You can tell she's just not a trusting person. This really did stunt her life experiences. So once she said that to me, that was all I needed, just to know that she had taken that personal. It was her fault. She made him go away. So I do my work with her. I process her through that belief. Like she believed that. And what are the consequences of believing that? And what would the consequences be if you actually knew that he didn't leave because of you? And so then enter dad. And so these aha moments, these are such huge breakthroughs. And all I had to say to dad was, she told me that you left her when she was 7. Oh, he got it instantly. And the tears and he cleaned that up with her and just said to her, oh, honey, I didn't leave you. I left you to go get well or I was going to die. So just the truth, just that truth moment that came into her mind. And he recognized, no wonder she's not close to me. No wonder she doesn't spend time with me. This guy now runs rehab facilities, in a very high position in California. Incredible guy. And so he's done a lot of work on himself. He's cleaned up. He's totally sober, doing really well in life now, 8 years later. But this 8 years for her was hell. So those are the moments I'm going to bridge the truth, and the truth does set her free. We've got a whole little program of them, reuniting, connecting, staying connected, all that good stuff's going on. But this is the kind of stuff that I help people locate and find out is, at what point did you decide something that wasn't actually true, but you live like it was? Another client, 17-year-old boy. I love teenagers, by the way. I love them. And I have clients of all ages. 17-year-old boy comes to see me, and he's living in grandma's basement, playing games, not really, productive, works for his stepdad once in a while. Birth dad, out of the picture. One night stand, got mom pregnant. He didn't have anything to do with his son, really, ever. And this son made up, I'm ugly. I'm ugly. He don't want me. I'm ugly. He don't want to look at me. I'm ugly. And he don't love me. He doesn't want me. He never wanted me. So first thing I have to address with him is, well, I don't know if that's true. I don't know. Did he tell you that? Is that the truth? Or is that something you made up? Well, of course he made that up. And I think over the years, there was brief encounters, sent a card. He didn't completely abandon him, but he didn't really have a relationship with a mother. And he was an Air Force pilot. So he was gone a lot, serving our country. And I think this young boy just, again, it must be something about him. He's rejected. He felt completely abandoned, completely rejected, like something's wrong with him. So I said, great, let's get his number. Let's call him. Let's find out really what dad thinks of you. Are you ready? Are you, you're going to be a man soon, so to speak. So you're going to be 18. Are you ready? Do you really want to know? Can you confront this now? You need to ask him if this was the reason why he left you. Because he believed he was left as well. See, kids think that way. How are they not going to? Even if you say, no, honey, they had to leave her. All they know is their experience. We're all narcissists when we're younger. Like, it's about themselves. They don't know. They can't process he had needs. Their needs weren't met. And then it stunts kids, right? So we got to address that and kind of help them grow from there. But he got a hold of his father's birth dad. And he asked him the questions I told him to ask him. And again, the father, oh, no, it wasn't not you at all. So then they're having dinners. There's kind of a new thing happening now in this kid's life. It's lit him up. I mean, he literally was lit up. And now there's things to kind of take on in his life. Because let's just say you just realize my dad did love me. It wasn't about me. I look just like my dad. My dad's a good looking guy, so I'm not ugly. There's so many things that this kid had epiphanies around. Okay, so now you're a whole new person. So you know that you were living a lie. Nothing's really wrong with you, but you live life like something's wrong with you. So now that nothing's wrong with you, you're loved. You were loved. It was just inconvenient in a way as he's traveling all over. Now, who are you going to be? Like, let's design a new future, because if we wouldn't have intercepted that lie and had him confront that, like the confront of it is critical, he wouldn't know himself newly. He wouldn't see himself differently. See, he sees himself as a rejected young man, ugly, unlovable. Why would he want me? So scrawny, so skinny, like all these different things he's saying to himself. Where's his bang so low to cover his eyes? He doesn't want people seeing his eyes. He doesn't want to confront life because he feels so inadequate. And I do think when children lose a parent, it's like losing a limb. But the kids need both of you. They need both of mom and dad, So it's critical. They need a loving support system growing up. But now we're designing some sort of future for him that is going to have him be in the lead, be like his dad. He's got that genetics. He's got dad's energy. He's got dad's looks. He's capable. He just didn't live like he was capable. So there's kind of a learning curve. Like, he's got to get out of this idea that he just needs to, live in the basement, play games, and he's a nothing and a nobody. And so nobody wanted him. And dad didn't want me. Like, that's a whole new experience to know, wait a minute, I did love you. I do love you. I want you in my life. I want to spend time with you. I want you to come out and see your new siblings, and I'm remarried, and I want you to be a part of our family. All these new plans, all these new ideas, because he dared confront his dad. Did you leave because you didn't love me? Did you leave because I was ugly? Did you? Oh, how could you think that, right? We don't realize what our kids are going through. We really don't realize what our kids are making up in their head about themselves because of what they're going through in life. But everybody does it. We all do it. I did it. And until you stop and look at, okay, here's my results. Results are an indicator. Okay, results are a symptom, of the real problem. Whatever a person's results are is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. That's what they think they're deserving of. That's what they think they're supposed to have. Women that stay with men that hurt them or that cheat on them or that aren't good to them, they think that that's what they're worthy of. People create what they believe they're supposed to have. And so when you correct that in yourself, when you realize, wait a minute, maybe I'm not so bad after all. Maybe I wasn't totally left or whatever. Maybe the reasons I believed they were gone isn't really true. You have to re-examine your belief. You have to re-examine what you're thinking, because thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. When you have an idea and a belief, it's fixed. You're stuck in that. Like, literally, that's how it is. That's just how it is. Or not. It doesn't have to be, but that's all you know. So it takes a little bit of an open mind and a willing heart to deal with the pain and the fear. And I said, look, if he doesn't like you, you're going to really know. He's going to be honest with you. Just have to ask for him to be honest with you. You ask for your dad to see, did he really leave you? Did he really leave to save himself from heroin addiction? You have to confront these beliefs because maybe they aren't true. And maybe they are. Actually, I've never had anybody be told by one of their parents that, yeah, I hated you. I never wanted you. I've never had that. I'm sure that's possible. But I think either way, the truth does set us free, whatever that is. So this is some examples of some of the work that I've done recently with some people, younger people. I had a beautiful girl. She's in her early 20s, graduate from high school, going to college in California. And she has struggled with dating boys that just she wasn't really into, but they liked her. They liked her a lot. She's a beautiful redhead, beautiful girl. And she kind of stayed with them because she didn't know if she was ever going to get anybody else. So she stayed with them because they loved her, and it was kind of a security thing. And she knew that they were going to, give to her. But she didn't love them. She wasn't really happy with them. So I talked to her about that. And then just the idea of, I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that. Like, she just did not have a lot of self-esteem. This is a self-esteem issue. I've been looking with her to drill down to see where some of this self-doubt is coming from. And, she does have a father who is very focused on fat shaming. And there's no boys, it's all girls in the family. And so every one of those girls, why are you reading that? You don't want to gain weight. There's a lot of chatter around fat shaming. And to a young girl, I'm telling you, that is so destructive because she's got hormones going on. She's got all these things going on. And the last thing she needs to worry about is that she's not good enough. She won't be good enough unless she's skinny. But he says it I love you, though. I want to help you be healthy. I don't want you to be overweight. No man's going to want you if you're overweight. So she found herself rebelling and eating at him and doing things that would actually sabotage herself. And then she would prove that she's worthy because she'd have all these guys that like her. She didn't like them, but that they liked her. And she kind of would throw that at Dad's face, like, well, yeah, but this guy likes me, but he likes me, because that was his thing is no one's going to want you. You look at your tummy, you're going to have to lose that tummy, and I'm like, guys like tummies. A lot of guys do like tummies, they like a little curve. But all of these things that she was living under and rebelling against her father. I said, what if your dad's wrong? What if he's wrong? What if he's wrong for you? What if this is not the right thing for you to hear from him? Because all you're doing is reacting from his negativity. And you're basically letting him dictate your behavior because you're rebelling against him. But what do you want? And that was our whole theme for about 6 months of, well, what do you want? What do you want? She doesn't know what she wants. She's got his voice in her head, and that's all she can hear. And so she's just fighting against that. She's got to make sure that she doesn't feel shame. But there's a lot of shaming, a lot of guilt. And when she started really processing this issue, I just got a beautiful text message from her. She said, OMG, thank you. I finally get it. I'm no longer letting him decide what I want, what I eat. I'm no longer reacting to him. I'm actually Thanks for sharing, Dad. And that doesn't mean that he's going to be my God. I'm doing things for me now. I've been to the gym every day. I'm eating what I think is healthy for me, and I feel better. Like, she just completely shifted because she realized that voice in her head was playing God in her life. And I said, you've got to decide what you want. Dad, he's just got an opinion. That doesn't mean it's true for you. And then this is the last point I want to make about this. I started this conversation by saying that we don't design our past alone. We're all born dependent. We all need other people. And I do feel like other people's opinions, other people's beliefs get in our way. And if they're suppressive in some way, if they're negative in some way, if it is a parent, that has their own weight issues projecting that on their child, oh, you can't gain weight, you can't eat that, whatever that is, it's going to cause some sort of issue. But these kind of things are suppressive. They're very suppressive to children. They're suppressive to people. So the issue, the lie that we start believing about ourselves, that has to get looked at. And you have to get the other people's voices out of your head. You can't live for anyone else's approval, and you can't believe every opinion they've got about you. The minute you do that, you are a slave to that. You're trapped in that. And that can cause so much damage to you. I feel like people are on hold when they are going through that. If they're in a relationship and the dynamic is they have to please that person. And I find this a lot with people pleasers. I got to make my dad happy. I have to, in front of dad, not eat that much, eat a salad. But then she's starving herself and she has, she's going to go binge later because she's starving. All these ways of doing life to make sure that person is approving of them. And that's just not possible. It's not sustainable. Because you're living a lie, you're pretending to be perfect for whoever. And if you're living to please that person and that's all that matters is that they're happy with you, at some point, when is that going to blow up on you? Because you can't just marry somebody or give your life to that person because they want you or because it makes them happy. What about you? What about what you need? What about you want? What will you want? And I've had people that have a handicapped sibling. And they're the oldest. And so when this handicapped little brother's born, oh no, I can't shine too bright. I can't outshine him. I don't want to make him feel bad. So they start throwing the race of their life. They start playing small. And now they're the caregiver and they got to help mom and dad and they got to babysit. But they don't want to make him feel bad. So they're living again to make sure someone else's life experience is okay. I'm telling you, that's not sustainable. It's just not realistic. And that kind of energy is so detrimental to you. And maybe the parents are agreeing with that, saying, yeah, you know what, you need to help him and don't be too happy and don't be too, suppress yourself, basically. At some point you have to live for you. You have to be honest, tell the truth, and walk away from those relationships when you can. I'm not saying you have the autonomy to do that immediately, but you need to recognize that if I'm going to be around those people, I'm going to have to play small and I'm going to be always giving care to someone else and their emotions or whatever they're going through, because they're going through whatever is more important than me. It can't be more important to you than you. It has to be that you have empathy and compassion, great, but you can't live life for other people. So those are the things that I help people process through, and it's my favorite thing to do. I'm pretty good at it. If you're getting some ideas out of my conversation with you, that maybe you're seeing yourself differently, or you're saying, I kind of do think I have some negative self-talk, I self-destruct, I self-sabotage, or I'm a pleaser and I'm living for everybody else and I'm miserable, I'm sick of it, I can't do it anymore. Or I'm stunted from my parental warfare stories when I was a child. I can help. I can totally help. So you should reach out to me. And you can find me on my website. It is healwithkimile.com, HEAL with KIMILE.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.